Hey, you are about to watch one section of our longer Bloomburrow Precon Review Thoughtcast episode. We're so excited to have you. I think you're going to have a great time watching the video. If you want to watch the full thing with all four of our reviews and all of our banter and intros, outros, and everything, all the goodies, you can click the link right over here, and that'll take you to the full episode. But without further ado, let's get into whichever deck you clicked on.
Squirreled Away, the Golgari Squirrel token aristocrat-y thing. It is a big blend of everything. You'll notice that amongst all of these is that there's a big blend of assorted strategies amongst all of them. But the overall theme of this deck we have is making tokens of both creature and non-creature variety, some of them squirrels, some of them other assorted utilities, and we're going to be turning them into value by doing sacrificey things, token generations, lots of like morbid triggers, eating them to other aristocrats effects. It is very sweet. Our lead of this deck is Hazel of the Root Bloom. Shout out to our friend on the Discord who's going to be purchasing this deck for his daughter, who is also named Hazel. This deck is dedicated for you, Hazel.
Shout out Fish. Discorded. Discorded. What am I saying? Dedicated to Fish.
Dedicated to the Discord. Wah! So, Hazel of the Root Bloom is our face commander of this deck, is 2 black-green legendary 3/5 Squirrel Druid. Tap ability, pay 2 life, and tap X untap tokens you control. Add X mana in any combination of colors. And at the beginning of your end step, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. If that token is a squirrel, instead, create 2 of those copies instead.
This seems really good.
Yeah, so what we're reading here is, let's start from the bottom, work our way up, basically. The bottom ability is very similar to Populate. It's not exact word to word. Populate makes token copies of creature tokens. This allows you to essentially make a token copy of anything that is relevant on your board. Creatures are obviously incentivized with the fact on it that if your token is a squirrel, you get to make a second copy of that squirrel. But you can target anything with this as well. If you've got treasures you'd like to make a second copy of, you can make a second copy of that. You can do food. You could do blood. You can do junk. If there's not junk in this deck, but like if you were to take this and do anything else with it as well. Yeah, anything you've already got that is a token. There are lots of card effects that allow you to create token copies of other permanents as well. So Hazel here would be able to create you token copies, I should say, of real creatures if you've added in strategies that allow you to do that kind of effect.
Gnarly.
And then getting up to, I mean, both abilities are very relevant, but I feel like her top ability of being able to tap X, untap tokens you control to make X mana in any combination you want, that is wild. That allows you to essentially use tokens that normally can't help mana accelerate you and accelerate your mana.
Yeah, to any new players who are listening to this, that is well worth the 2 life. Don't be precious about your life total. That's the advice going into this deck.
Yeah, you start with 40 for a reason, you know? You have life to burn, and as you will see in the construction of this deck, that life loss is going to be severely mitigated by all of your other aristocrat-y friends who are going to be gaining you life back in this deck, like Zulaport Cutthroat and friends. There's a variety of them that come in this deck. But yeah, that ability to be able to tap things that normally can't help you make mana, super good. So take things like your clues or your blood, tap them, make you mana, and then you can further do the card effect that token does.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. Now, if you'd like to take this in the direction specifically towards squirrel, tribal, kindred, whatever you'd like to call it nowadays, that would be your backup commander that comes out of this deck, the Odd Acorn Gang. 3 black and a green.
What a name.
I know, they're so funny. But I think they're really, really neat. Apart from
Boy Genius?
What are you talking about?
Never mind. You don't get it.
Okay.
Carry on.
Sorry, I don't know music. I only live in North Nashville. Anyways, the odd Acorn Gang is a legendary squirrel warrior. It's a 5/5. It comes with menace, trample, reach. Squirrels you control have tap, target squirrel gets +2/+2 and trample until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. And when one or more squirrels you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card.
That's banding. This is bands with squirrels.
Bands with squirrels. Yep. Excellent. I mean, it's just a variety of useful keyword mechanics, combat centric related things. And like, even if you're only getting the card advantage off of itself, that's great. You got any squirrel token that taps into it and it becomes like a 7/7, a 9/9 menace, trample, reach. You know, it'll be able to block lots of things as you're ready to start going to combat. When you are ready to start going to combat, it's super evasive, can get big really, really fast, draws you cards when either itself or your other tokens start connecting as well. You only get one card for the equal amount of creatures that hit, but if you're hitting multiple players, you can get multiple cards that way.
Yeah, normally I'm upset about that, like when one or more abilities, but on something that is incentivizing you to just beef like one big thing and swing in with it, I'm not too upset about that. And yeah, I totally agree. I think the intention with this would be like, pick your 3 best, most evasive squirrels, tap all of your tokens to make them big and beefy, and then attack each player sort of Voltron squirrel style.
Exactly. Yeah. That's incentivized. There's a is here insatiable frugivore. It can sacrifice foods to give creatures you control Exo and Menace. So like that's a good way to get your squirrels in to start hitting multiple players at once. So Odd Acorn Gang goes really, really well with that. But rolling that in to start talking about some of the other brand new cards that do come in this deck. Oh, I guess I'm sorry. Let me backpedal just real fast that because this is a 2-color deck, you do have other options that are reprints as available commanders that you could play out of this deck. And 2 of those are actually some of your high-value reprints that also come in this deck as well. Out of the box, you can play Belladross Witherbloom as your commander, a 7-mana 4/4 Elder Dragon that at each upkeep, you make a 1/1 black and green pest creature token. Pests have, when they die, you gain a life. And you could pay 10 life to untap all lands you control. Activate only once each turn.
Goodness.
Really good. Yeah, you are throwing a bunch of pests into aristocrat strat things that gains you the life back that you can then use to untap your lands and accelerate even faster with Hazel in the deck then as well.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to play this in the command zone though, out of the box though. Right?
No, I mean, probably not. I mean, Belladross is a very good commander, but I don't think this is super built well. Well, I mean, it depends really, because like a lot of this deck is like killing your things and killing opponents' things, and then benefits that gain you life as well. So it certainly wouldn't be a bad option, but the deck is certainly not built with it in mind.
Sure.
However, Chatterfang Squirrel General probably would be excellent as a commander right out of the box as well. Yep. 2 and a green, 3/3 legendary squirrel warrior with Forest Walk. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a squirrel is created instead. And black mana, sacrifice X squirrels, target creature gets +X/-X until end of turn.
If you've never played against a Chatterfang deck, you sweet innocent summer child.
Yeah, there you would certainly, and Chatterfang is also like a $12 card as well. Belladross pushing 18, so your 2 best reprints can also be your alternate commanders. Very cool stuff. Let's dive into some new cards then real fast. I think I don't really have a particular favorite out of this because like it's Golgari sacrificey related stuff. This has never really been a favorite strategy of mine, all things considered, but there are certainly some really sweet cards for general purpose aristocrats that also just fit the bill super well in this deck. Hazel's Brewmaster, I think, would actually probably be, if I had to pick one, probably be my favorite that's in here. 3 and a black for a 3/4 Squirrel Warlock. Squirrelock. Thank you. 3/4 with Menace. When it enters or attacks, you exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard and create a food token. And she gives foods you control all activated abilities of creature cards exiled with Hazel the Brewmaster.
This is just Agatha's Soul Cauldron.
Kind of, yeah. It's very much like that, except it applies it to your
Crazy.
food. So as compared to Soul Cauldron, that gives those abilities to your other creatures, you can sit there just with your food tokens that, like, who's going to use removal on a food token?
Yeah.
No one.
What? That's such a cool card.
Yeah. So, like, floor is stuff like, oh, hit a mana dork that got milled there. Now all of your food can produce mana.
Oh,
Or
all of your food. So if you just have like 3 food sitting there and it comes in, you can like pay for itself.
Mm-hmm. If you get a mana dork, and then basically any other creature that you can hit that has some cool activated ability on it, anything that like taps and draws cards, or goodness alive, if you can exile a sack outlet like Viscera Seer to it,
Yes.
now all of your foods are Viscera Seer.
Your foods are Viscera Seers.
That's so cool, dude.
I dig that. I dig that.
Yeah, it's a really cool one. Moonstone Eulogist?
Eulogist,
is another
you got
variant.
it.
Yep, Eulogist, thank you. I'm not very good with words, as you've all known before.
Vocabulary is my passion.
Moonstone Eulogist is 3 and double black for a 4/4 bat warlock with flying. When a creature an opponent controls dies, you make a blood token. That counts token or non-token, just anything of your opponent's dies, which, spoilers, this deck is loaded with removal. It is removal heavy. You get blood anytime that happens, which again, blood tokens are very useful with Hazel at the helm, because you can then use that blood for mana or other sacrificing relating things. Like what this card will let you do is that when you sacrifice an artifact, not just blood, any artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on Moonstone Eulogist and you gain a life. So start eating your treasures for mana. This thing will get bigger and gain you life. Start sacrificing your blood for some card advantage or into anything else you have on board that lets you sacrifice tokens. This thing will start gaining you life. So like it balances out the like Hazel life ability that's required there. So I like it. I think it's really, really cool. And it's just versatile enough that like if you were to take this from here and throw this into any deck that's using black and sacrificing artifact tokens in any capacity, or just sacrificing artifacts, this thing can get very big, keep you alive. It's really, really cool. And then last new one I wanted to bring up is a board wipe called Swarmyard Massacre. 3 and double black for a sorcery. You create 2 green. Let me try that again. You make 2 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens. Then each creature that isn't an insect, rat, spider, or squirrel gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each creature you control that is an insect, rat, spider, or squirrel.
Whoa.
Yeah.
This is Crux of Fate for bugs.
Yes, it is. It's the callback here is to the creature types labeled on the land called Swarmyard, which actually is also in the deck
and is also a $15 card.
Yes, it is. That's another one of your reprints. Swarmyard referred to this collection of creature types specifically. And this is great. In this deck alone, most of your creature token generators are squirrels or rats. There's a bunch of things in here that make rats, but this is just very good to you could even pull this out of here if you are doing an insect tribal or you're doing spiders. You know, this is the perfect color to match every single one of those typal strategies. Can't even tell you how stupid this is with changelings.
Throw this in a Shelob Child of Ungoliant deck. Just wipe the board, keep all of your spiders.
And wipe the board, specifically wiping the board with negative toughness, which is very important. You are not going to hit everything with this all the time, but the times that you can catch indestructible creatures with this, perfect. Love board.
I would love to see a time where this was not -10, but I think most of the time it's just going to be like strictly better destroy all of your opponent's creatures. Like this is in Garrick's wake.
Yeah, this is nice that the card itself does make you 2 squirrels. So if you don't have enough immediately on board right there, you get at least 2 points higher as you cast it.
Sure.
And then, the floor is bad if you have nothing on board really, or stuff is removed as it's being cast. But yes, in most instances, this is going to be a one-sided wipe. which will go very pleasantly into, like I said, the variety of cards reprinted in here that care about killing your opponent's creatures. A bunch of Morbid related stuff like Zulaport Cutthroat, as we described earlier, but then also like Poison Tip Archer and where's some of those other things in here? Bastion of Remembrance and Moldervine Reclamation and things of that nature. Like there's a lot of things in here that either kill creatures directly or benefit you for having creatures die. It's super good. We've mentioned several of the high value reprints already so far. Talking about like Belladross and Chatterfang and Swarmyard or whatever. Guys, we got an Unfinity reprint in here. As hallelujah,
as I live and breathe,
as our resident singular person here that enjoys Unfinity unequivocally, you know, I'm stoked to tell you that Saw in Half comes in this deck. I can't believe it. Here we are. More people needed to enjoy cards like these. It's such a shame that some of these really, really cool legal designs got stuck into a very mediocre unproduct, personally, but I still enjoy it very much. And Saw in Half
is crazy.
It's so good. Outside of its combo potential, just the ability to it's very flexible. Let me read the card for you, because probably you've never seen this before, anybody. Destroy target creature for 2 and a black at an instant speed. If the creature dies this way,
it actually says sacrifice target creature.
you destroy a creature.
Not be targeting your opponent's stuff with this.
If the creature dies this way, its controller creates 2 tokens that are copies of that creature, except their base power is half that creature's power and base toughness is half, rounded up each time. So yes, as Joseph is alluding to, this in a pinch, I don't know why you really would be interested in, but you could.
What world?
Yeah, you could blow up somebody's creature of this. I mean, I've actually done this. Saw in Half is a card that I play in my Camball Profiteering Mayor deck because I can target. Yeah, I can target somebody. Yeah. It's pretty silly. It's really good in there. So there are instances where you're going to want to hit your opponent's creature with it, but as Joseph is describing, this is a kind of card that you actually will hit something of yours, and then you get 2 token copies while triggering all of your aristocrat style related cards. It's super. We're a big fan. We're a big fan of that. Other notable hits in here, you've got Second Harvest, super good at doubling your tokens up. Skull Clamp, another way to turn your tokens into card advantage. Beastmaster Ascension.
Skull Clamp keep creeping up to like $10. I
know.
Swear they keep reprinting it, and it's just not enough.
It's been in the last 3 precons in a row, and it's still $9.
Still $10. Tell
you what.
Buy up Skull Clamps after this reprint, because they will go back to $10.
Exactly. Some other interesting reprints to bring up here. Every single one of these Bloomburrow precons do include a alternate art borderless, like animal-fied Planeswalker, right? Every single one of these has one of them in them. And in this deck is Garruk, Cursed Huntsman. This is the Golgari colored one from the original Throne of Eldraine. So your Garruk is the card that's in here, so that's super cool. Shocking absolutely no one. You have a deck that makes any of your 3 favorite token friends clang, clang, clang. It's a Fat Academy manufacturer. Here he is. In the deck, ready to go. Morbid Opportunist, again, very good. Draws you cards as things die. Super fun. Plum the Forbidden as well, also very cool use of being able to turn tokens into card advantage as well. Instant speed. So if they're about to die, you just eat your board to a Plum the Forbidden and refill your hand. Super. We're a big fan of that.
Love that.
But yeah, so overall, like, while the deck itself boasts being like a Squirreled related deck, and there are certainly Squirrel cards that are in here, you kind of have to more look at this as it's a Golgari token aristocrat style thing. You're not going to be keeping your tokens on board for too terribly long. You are going to want to throw them into things like sacrifice outlets and destroying effects and into unfavorable combat situations to get them to die, to trigger into cards like these as well. And it's really, really neat. But you obviously could take some of the pieces out of this and turn it into Squirrel Tribal. It's really cool synergy.
You're not going to mention there's a Beastmaster Ascension in the deck?
I said that talking about the reprints. Did I glaze it too fast? I'm sorry.
I didn't catch it, but that to me is the wildest reprint in here. Because like it's gonna teach some people about Beastmaster Ascension, which is like,
this is plus 5 is ridiculous.
This is 3-mana Craterhoof Behemoth. Like,
yes, it is.
That you have to have strictly enchantment removal to deal with.
Exactly. Yep. I'm
pretty in something that makes a bunch of 1/1s. You're gonna play this on like turn 5 or whatever, and be able to swing with 7 creatures, and all of a sudden they're like 6/6s each.
Yeah.
Nuts.
So
I'm gonna keep saying nuts because we're talking about squirrels.
Haha, chatter, nuts, squirrels. Haha. So how do we improve this deck? Well,
tell me about it.
Let's make some great additions here. Firstly, from the last booster product that we just had, Warren Soul Trader goes ham in here.
Goes crazy in here, dude.
Yeah, it's a 3-mana 3/3 Goblin Zombie Wizard, I believe it is. I forgot to write these down.
That sounds right.
I'm such ashamed of this. With a free sacrifice outlet on it of sacrifice a creature,
pay
a life and sacrifice a creature.
Pay a life,
make a treasure. Yeah. Crazy. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Get Academy
cares about sacking things and making tokens, like
precisely. Yeah. Again, all of this with Academy Manufacturer down. If you have it, super.
So just to be clear, you're upgrading this deck, keeping Hazel as the commander, caring more just about making tokens and not necessarily making squirrel tokens.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. I apologize. Yep. Yeah. This is the idea is like we're doing aristocracy kind of thing with Hazel as our means of accelerating these things out and creating duplicates of tokens, not necessarily squirrels all the time, but if we can keep at least a squirrel around, this will allow us to get like 2 more tokens basically every turn.
Yeah.
Super cool. Which, speaking of possibly making squirrel tokens out of here, Valley Rot Color is a card that's in the Bloomburrow set itself. Let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. 1 and a black for a 1/3 Squirrel Warlock with Menace that when it attacks, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of squirrels, bats, lizards, and rats you control. So if you do take this in the direction of making more squirrels or rat tokens in general, this could be a fun little piece you throw in there that just it starts dealing direct damage as it swings. Like it doesn't even have to connect to start hitting everybody.
Like you cast Saw in half on that. And then all of a sudden and now Hazel makes 2 extra copies of those.
Yep.
And then you just keep populating your board with more of those. This is why Saw in half is ridiculous. The incidental half that I don't know if most people think about is that it makes them tokens.
Yeah, I described that earlier is like if you can get any of these real creatures turned into tokens, then Hazel can start duplicating them. And it's, again, especially Rot Collar because it is a squirrel.
Yeah, neat.
Insidious Roots from Martyrs of Karlov Manor.
One of my all-time favorites.
Nice. Yeah. Gives your assorted creature tokens the ability to just help you make mana. So all of your squirrels and rats and spiders or whatever that you're ended up making, they can now start producing you mana. And one of the keyword abilities that comes from Bloomburrow that is not actually in this deck, I think at all, is the forage mechanic. Is kind of tied to the squirrels that you can either be sacrificing food or exiling cards from your graveyard to do whatever forage effect is. And that will allow you to trigger the secondary mode on Insidious Roots that as cards are leaving your graveyard, you make plants that are then tokens for your token synergy that then are making you mana. And you know what I mean? Like
it's good with Hazel's Brewmaster.
It is, yes, exactly.
It's in there, you exile a creature, you make a plant, put a counter on it, and then you also make a food token, and both of those tokens, or Insidious Roots is creature tokens can tap for mana, right?
Yes, creature tokens.
Right, so you now have a plant that can tap for mana, and a food that has the activated abilities of the thing in the graveyard.
Yep, precisely.
Dope.
Brief aside to Mirkwood Bats. because Mirkwood Bats.
Yeah,
we
that belongs in here.
We don't need to tell you that Mirkwood Bats is busted. This one's a bit pricier, but Nuka-Cola Vending Machine is also really silly with making foods. And again, you've got Manufacturer who's already in the deck as well, so you can just start doing real busted things.
Yeah.
You could certainly skip that one because it's a bit of a pricier card right now, but super.
What's it sitting at right now? Like $14,
$16, yeah.
Dang.
So it's a bit of a pricier. Then before I start rolling into cuts, just a quick honorable mention of something that would fit into this theme very well. The 2-card combo of Peregrine Took and Experimental Confectioner.
Yeah.
Since you're doing the food token thing in here as well, there are several varieties of cards that make you food tokens. These two together allow you to set up a combo that with enough of those tokens down in play, you just draw your deck.
Nope.
So real sweet.
We love that.
Real sweet. Breezing then, just a couple cuts that I would do personally to make room for some of these here. Nested Shambler is just a little like a too cute kind of thing. Like you can make tokens better than just having a single thing die. You know, it's not awesome. Ogre Slumlord is another one as well. Like it's a little too expensive to be popping out just rats. Like you would prefer to have squirrels over rats. It's neat, but I'm never a big fan of Slumlord.
I mean, Slumlord just makes whenever another non-token creature, including your opponent's stuff, dies.
That's true. You're right. And there is lots of removal in here.
With Death Touch.
Yeah.
To me, it plays out like a weird Ophiomancer. Cut it if you want. It's expensive for what it is. It's a 5-mana 3/3 that doesn't have any protection, evasion.
Exactly,
anything.
right. Like we got it. We have to cut something. You know what I mean? And if it's on my decision, I've never been a fan of Slumlord. It just is too expensive, too little payoff. And speaking of things that are too expensive for their payoff, I've never been a big fan of Decree of Pain.
Definitely not. Get that out of here.
It's cool if you can get it to fire off and draw lots of cards, but that is like... It's like what, 8 mana to destroy it?
To wipe the board and then draw some cards is not really what you want to be doing.
Yeah,
you could be playing Endray's Forerunners instead and just win the game. Like
exactly. Wolf Willow Haven. There's enough things in here between Hazel and the artifact rocks and things like that. You don't need one dinky little your land can produce next to green and it's 5 mana to make a single 2/2 like that. That's not good enough for in the deck right here. It's neat, but again, out of it goes. And then one of the last ones I would cut is actually one of the other new cards that comes in here, Sword of the Squeak. This is certainly not the deck that this belongs in here. Spoilers, the Offspring deck is all about creating 1/1 tokens. Sword of the Squeak goes much better in that deck.
Yeah, or are you not pulling the Odd Acorn Gang out of this deck?
I don't think so. I think they fit just fine.
Cool. I was going to say, you could also just pull Odd Acorn Gang and Sword of the Squeak out and make that its own deck. Like, there's your start for another, 1/1 Squirrel tokens deck. There's so many options.
Yeah, this is very flexible because, again, Golgari Sacrifice is pretty open-ended. This one just happened to be themed around squirrel-related stuff. Again, our opinions on cuts and adds are varied depending on what kind of play style you'd like to do. Yes. But if you were asking me, that's what I would pick. And that is Squirreled Away, your Golgari Sacrifice, eat all your things, drain your opponent dead, chatter your way to victory.
I love it, dude. Do you see yourself getting this deck?
No.
Any parting thoughts? Yeah, not for you.
Like I said, I've never been a huge fan of aristocracy, especially in the I don't know. I just don't
thinky.
I just don't like yeah.
You have to do so much math.
Yeah, I'm barely holding it together as is. Like I said, playing Camball, who does play very similarly to this as well. But at least with Camball, I've got white. You know,
that's true.
I've never really liked Golgari as a color combo.
Fair. Well, thanks for your thoughts on our cast of that deck.